evening, everybody. Welcome to the to the next GoldenFox podcast after God knows how long it's been. I mean, it's been several months. So, I do owe you guys an explanation as to what took so long for the podcast to come by. Scheduling. Scheduling is an absolute. I can't say the words. Like, I'll censor it. It's an absolute bitch to deal with whenever it comes to, setting up what the topics are, who's like available to show up and everything. As of right now, there's only two people, myself and obviously yours truly, but we also have Shouka, which for anybody who has been paying attention to the gameplays or the Let's Plays on my second channel, Shouka, introduce yourselves just briefly.
Okay, so I'm Shouka, and I was originally a Patreon of Golden, and if you guys saw the Let's Play that Golden did for the Zelda game, where we were in that call with, I think it was Death, Raiza, Aeon, Wolfhead, and Logic, I think. I think that was all of them. We said in the video, I think it was in the beginning, when Logic joined, we introduced myself as Logic's girlfriend.
Okay, so just for a brief second there, I had to cancel out one of the few, because apparently it's fine now. I had both the desktop audio and the Discord call as a separate channel. I normally try to keep that off, but trying to see it acknowledged is a pain in the butt to try to set up. So I do apologize for that little mishap right there, but yeah, hopefully you guys were able to understand Shouka at that point, because I'm pretty sure she doesn't want to repeat herself.
I mean, I don't mind repeating myself if they didn't hear, but I know that we don't want to like push it further.
Some people are like, wait, what? Where have you been? Hi, Ryley. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Hello, motherfucker.
Oh my god.
Well, that's some more censorship to get rid of. Oh, hello.
We're breaking the chat, so.
I was about to.
Sorry about that.
When my roommate barged into the room out of nowhere. Oh, I didn't have enough time to read it. Hang on, let me see if I can try to look for it.
Also, Ryley, we already broke the chat. Someone didn't know I was dating Logic, so.
Wait, what?
You came in right after we said that we introduced me, and we already broke the chat because someone didn't know I was dating Logic because I introduced myself as Logic's girlfriend, and they're like, "Wait, Logic has a girlfriend?"
Really? I thought they would have seen all the art and shit.
Or they would have at least seen the other gameplay stuff. So
yeah, I thought it would have been obvious to some people too, but some people don't pay attention to all sorts of media sources. So
fair enough.
But yeah, so as I mentioned before, the podcast has been an absolute to set up or try to set a date for because scheduling is a huge obstacle here. So a lot of people's work schedules are all over the place, mine especially. Like there are times where my job has me work in the mornings, some in the afternoons, some are the evening shifts, and they're just everywhere. And trying to pinpoint that one day where everybody else is open, that is if most people would be interested or if anybody would be interested. And that's a challenge in and of itself because the enthusiasm is a bit on the lackluster side. I do what I can to try to make this podcast better because I do like discussing things relating to general media and pop culture. Just so that, we can kind of stay up to date with the things that we know about. But at the same time, I want to make it fun. And that there's, I still have to learn things along the way. Like, this is the 32nd podcast that I have hosted over the past several years. Like, I started since, 2019.
Wow.
But, yeah. So this isn't anybody's fault in particular. Like, I'm not going to go pinpointing everybody. It's just setting things up is an absolute obstacle to deal with. And hopefully you guys understand that. And I do apologize for the long-winded delay. I do hope at some point in the future I keep this on a monthly basis. So that way we kind of stay up to date with anything that's going on. So since it has been several months since it's been Oh, Sharky retweeted. Thank you very much for that, Sharky. So since it's been a really long time, I suppose we have a couple of things we want to catch up on regards to some things we kind of wanted to mention before or so whereabouts.
Why does it sound like somebody's snoring?
Oh, okay. I guess my mic is that sensitive. I do apologize for that. So if you're hearing that snoring, that's from Key. She's been under the weather. Like, she needed a nap after having her awkward podcast with A&Y. Unfortunately, after napping, she had a severe headache. And she kind of needs to sleep it off. I did ask her, do you guys not have a text to speech? I thought it was Thief Guy. I literally, because it was working earlier. I don't know what happened.
I thought Kitty had fallen asleep in the call again.
That's gonna be.
I'm
gonna do what I can to make that work. Go ahead.
If it was Kitty, she would have been in the call.
That is true. But anyway, Key woke up with a headache. I did ask her, have you drank yet? Because sometimes, that's a sign that. What's the word? You're dehydrated and you need to drink some water more. I've learned that from Bliss because
drink water, bitch.
Because I think Bliss is one of Bliss's relatives is a medical expert. Don't quote me on that, but I've started to ask for that. We currently don't have any Tylenol. I need to get some more of that. With the donated money, I can just use that to get some Tylenol for her at some point.
Yeah, I keep a water bottle near me at most times in case, so I can keep hydrated, and especially during the summer when you get, you could get heat exhaustion and shit.
And lots of this is the best remedy. Yeah, Zuckerman, pretty much.
Yeah.
I wish I had more of the fortunate luck of resting more often, but my job is keeping me all over the place. There are times I have to be because I get a little paranoid that I would be late to work and then getting fired. And then I would be in a lot of trouble because we had to pay for the roof over our heads. But enough about me. How have things been with you guys for the past couple of months? Obviously, Shouka, you already gave out your announcement. Ryley, I'm sure you had several things you wanted to share. Because it's been a really long time.
Going to BabsCon in a couple weeks.
Oh, that too.
I mean, I'm trying to get things in order to perhaps, hopefully, if I can muster up that dreaming, that dream of having that motivation to finish something,
I know that feeling, Ryley.
Ryley, am I gonna have to take a thumbtack and sneak it up your ass to get you moving?
Okay,
look, I was using Mickey Mouse cartoon logic there to make you just jump high in the air.
Put a thumbtack up my ass.
Oh gosh.
Wow. Okay, you just turned from what would normally be cartoon slapstick comedy to straight up.
I just took what you gave me and ran with it. Okay, that's what I do.
Very well. So there have been a lot of things that have been happening for the past several months. First and foremost, 2022 can go die in a ditch. Hopefully 2023 becomes a better year. We're already within March. There's a couple of ups and downs. And some of the topics we'll definitely be getting to. We have... I should get that out of the way. We have... hang on. Not that one. Okay, so we have the Super Bowl to talk about, the recent Oscars, the latest Helluva boss, and even though we're very, very late talking about it, our favorite movies were from last year. So I don't know which ones we would want to go to first. Apparently some people cannot come in, or they're going to be busy with things, and I kind of want to save topics for some people over what they want to talk about. So currently at $13, huh?
Lucky number 13.
If we wanted to wait for the Helluva Boss one for everyone else to come in, we could talk about the movies that came out last year that we all liked.
Well, funny you mention that, because I kind of wanted to kind of organically work with the CinePix. That's what I call it, mixed with the Oscars. Not have them at the same time, but to whether or not we agree with what the Oscar picks are compared to what the CinePix are.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking you guys would talk about Nintendo Direct in February. There's that. Like, there's a lot of things we missed. I still have like a lot of things to catch on.
At this point, there's like so much it's gone by. Like 4 months in internet time is like forever. So
yeah, and I do apologize for not being that active. I do hope that it'll get.
No, I mean like to keep like certain topics relevant. You mean? I mean, yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Like, because like it's good every once in a while to talk something for what happened yesteryear, but at the same time, everybody always likes to go for they care about what's the most recent thing compared to. No, nobody's screwed. Nobody's screwed, Spinell. Nothing like that. So, I guess the first thing we should talk about to get out of the way, which I suppose we could talk about the Oscars and then talk about CinePix.
Okay.
They were actually decent this year.
Yeah. So yeah, the Oscars. I think a lot of you know my beef with the Oscars, especially last year, including the 3 actresses who said some of the most I can't even find the right word insulting things about.
They basically just did the old stereotype about kids watching the same films over and over again, but applied it to mostly animated films and stuff. And
despite the fact that Flea was one of the nominees.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the old cliche.
Yeah, Flea, an Afghanistani refugee. Yeah, that's perfect kids material right there. Like, what? So we're not going to talk too much about that. I will say this year's Oscars surprisingly good, and I
teared up.
I think a lot of us teared up. So I think it's fair to start from the top and see that the nominees for the animated feature. I mean, to an extent, they did kind of want to get it out of the way, but they didn't do anything insulting about it. I think they wanted to get to the big ones because I think the big ones, especially with the one that stole the whole show, being Everything Everywhere at Once. If I'm getting, or is it All at Once? We'll just say Everything for short, because
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, so we'll just say Everything for short. Everything stole the show. Like it won so many nominees. I think that was just a big laundry list to go over there. And animated feature, I think they just wanted to put that aside because it doesn't have much weight compared to the rest of them. But
they were still respectful.
They were
about it a bit. I mean, like, I don't know if I don't know. Lately, I just haven't had much respect for The Rock, especially finding out his like contract about like, you know, how he can never lose a fight on screen. And
I heard somewhere that okay, so upon him talking about animation, he did say like the original root word of what animated means. It means to bring life and everything. I like that he actually went into that particular definition instead of saying, oh yeah, kids like watching animated movies. But I did hear somewhere that Rock used to think that animation was a genre, which to many people that's considered extremely insulting, and I can't blame them.
It's not a genre, it's an art style.
It's a medium.
Yeah. It's a medium, yeah. It's like, I don't get the difference between like an artist painting something and then making that painting move different versions. Like if you see that movie Painting Vincent, where they do like frame by frame oil paint as animation, and it's amazing, and I don't see why people don't apply that same kind of logic with like regular animation. It's just like, yeah, it can be different and some of it may be aimed towards kids, but it's still artistic, it's still art. It's subjective, yeah,
so,
but still.
I will say, go ahead, Shouka.
I was gonna say, personally, as like an art major, like as a person who majors in art, the fact that they like to classify animation as a genre is kind of stupid because there's a lot of animated movies that have different genres in them.
Yeah,
like they shouldn't be putting them all under animation as a genre. That's not smart.
like, if we're gonna go by that logic, do you know how many like forms of animation there are? Like,
there's stop motion,
Stop motion,
claymation.
There's various forms of stop motion. There's claymation. There's a recent documentary about Will Vinton's invention of claymation, or how he brought
Really? Ooh, I gotta see
and it's
that.
called Clay Dream. It looks like fire. Like,
wait, did they go over the adventures of Mark Twain?
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet. All I know is that it's about his career and how he managed to managed to make claymation a really big deal. And how the company went through a lot of things. I don't know if the Mark Twain, because I know why you would mention it. It has that disturbing scene.
Yep.
But we are getting a little bit off the subject. I think that, like, if it is true that Rock once said that animation was a genre, and then nowadays he said something more respectful about it, I will commend him and credit him for actually having, like, a sense of progression of understanding the values of animation compared to, okay, my order was dropped off. Compared to, what he said before, and I will give him credit for that. Now, as for the picks, I saw that the nominees were Turning Red, which, as much as I love that movie, there were plenty of better movies out there. There was, what I was voting for, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Amazing movie. I highly recommend you check it out. There was Marcel the Shell that I saw the other day. Fantastic movie in and of itself, and it definitely has more of an art sense to it. And, of course, the big winner was Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And I'm sure that you guys would have much more to say. I have to BRB for a second to get my dinner. You guys have the floor. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well,
I can't say anything about it since I haven't seen that Pinocchio movie.
Well, I mean, for one thing, Del Toro had been trying to make that film for like at least 13 years, I believe, since like 2007, 2009 or something.
Oh, that long ago?
Yeah, but like every studio he would pitch it to would like turn it down up until he like pitched it to Netflix. And Netflix, as much as they suck, they greenlit it.
Wow.
Some people donated
We can hear you. Anyway. God, when did it start? That movie was really like
we still talking
it had
about
Del
Pinocchio?
Toro. Yeah, it had Del Toro's style just all over it. Everything from like the Blue Fairy to everything, and the fact that it was co-written, and I think didn't he also like co-direct the movie? The guy who also did Over the Garden Wall, right?
I still have yet to check that out.
That's another one I need to check out too. Honestly, like I let that slip by me.
That's fine. Don't mind the noise. I'm just opening up my sandwich. I just had myself a thing of Jersey Mike's. I love Jersey Mike sandwiches. Anyway, so yeah, with Pinocchio, I will say, because I did watch the movie, I do think it's a really good movie, and honestly, I'm actually happy that it still won despite my vote being for Puss in Boots, because at this point, anything winning over Disney, I think, is a sign showing that. Because on the one hand, Disney has been winning all the time, and most of the time it's because the people at the Oscars are just like, I just like talk to like my kid and see what movie they like, and of course most of the time they're gonna remember Disney because of the big corporate name and everything, and not actually look into the movies that actually have more effort put into them. And on the other,
like they would
go ahead.
They would go like year after year straight for winning Oscars, because a lot of these Academy members who vote on these Oscars, they're like they're boomers, like older than boomers, almost greatest generation, and they just usually see a lot of these animated films with their grandkids. So they'll usually just go see like whatever film with that's put out by Disney or something, and it's just like, yeah.
Like, I think last year's Oscars, they had Encanto win, I think. Which I understand. Encanto was a really beautifully made movie with a good message behind it. But, like, half the time what Disney comes out with nowadays, it's not even worth, like, watching, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, no, like, Because what came out last year, we had Strange World, which I think it had a lot of potential to go with.
Yeah.
But dear God, the movie it has its
I like
heart
the
in the
father's dynamic in the film.
Yeah,
I like that message.
My problem with the movie is it's so rushed. Like when the movie even starts, they just give out the title. Like it doesn't even go like Walt Disney Presents or something. It just flashes that out there. I'm like, oh, that's a sign. And they just go straight forward. I barely had a time to relax to understand.
Yeah.
And it just feels like they just wanted to get it out of the way. It had some very bizarre but amazing ideas, like the world they're living in, spoilers, they're living on a living turtle that actually created this environment for the world. And I think that was just
on the back of a turtle.
Yeah. No, but the twist villains. Oh, yeah, no. Okay, so there was a bit of a twist villain in there, but at the same time, there wasn't a villain.
Not really.
Yeah,
Not
it's
really.
like, oh, there's like, they had an original plan to prevent something, but it turns out that what they're trying to save is actually a problem, and it's just like, it's a big misunderstanding and not so much as...
Yeah, it's more of a misunderstanding than a twist villain. And that's the thing, like, and it looks like they're doing the whole generational trauma thing, which I'm not against. I would like to see more of that in media, not gonna lie. But like it's like you gotta mix it up a bit and not make it so predictable that people are just like, all right, when's the twist villain? I remember like a bunch of people like commenting about how like the next Pixar film is gonna have Disney's greatest villain ever in a film, and I think it was Shea Frillis who said it's going to be depression, isn't it?
I mean,
I'm not against an animated film talking about depression and all that, but it's just like,
I mean, we kind of had that with Inside Out, but like, Encanto had the twist villain thing where they're like they made Bruno to be out the.
They demonized Bruno so bad, and then it turned out that,
but like it wasn't. It was like
it was just his gift. Like he has like the knowledge of what's coming in the way. Like he can't control that.
Yeah,
he just tells him like, hey, you're gonna be bold one day, or one day this bad thing is gonna happen, and people got mad at him for that instead of like what the message he had to deliver.
Yeah, I feel like they made I feel like the grandma was ending up being more the villain, if anything, because she was like trying to like
unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. Especially with how she was treating her
Mirabelle,
because she didn't have a gift. Like she didn't even have her own room. The poor kid. I'm like, I feel bad for her.
She was always that one outcast sort of narrative. Which, again, it would be nice to mix it up a bit, like what Ryley said. So, seeing that, so the thing with Pinocchio is it's more about grief, because that whole movie was definitely about grief, and they handled it very well. Because I don't want to get into too much spoiler detail. I will say the ending was a very, very bittersweet one. Like, if you've seen Watership Down, I think you can kind of piece that together. Putting aside the ridiculous amount of violence that happened in the movie, it had a very somber but very calm ending in that film. Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't just about processing grief, though, and I like it how it kind of put the original message of Pinocchio on its head a bit by not just being like, oh, just completely authoritarian, you must listen, be a good kid, and stuff like that, and be like, no, you still have to be able to figure out right from wrong and think for yourself a bit and stuff, instead of just like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it felt it was a nice balance for it. It felt like a nice balance than just the old cliche, oh, be good because your parents, or that you'll get like turn into a donkey and that kind of shit.
Yeah, and not to mention, they also had they did have some familiar scenes. Like, obviously, you have the fairy come out and bring in Pinocchio to life, but you also have the big whale at the end of the movie. And the way they kind of set that up was, it worked a great balance between familiarity, but also delivering something fresh. This particular Pinocchio story takes place during World War II, of all places, compared to something like most other Pinocchio stories, which I would presume is the late 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mussolini was in the film. He was a character. who is voiced by Tom Kenny. Tom Kenny has been in like 2 or 3 Pinocchio films this past year as minor or main characters.
Wait, they had more Pinocchio films than just that one that came out this year?
You forgot about the Pauly Shore and Disney version? Disney live action remake.
Yeah, no, well, I do not recommend that. I've seen. Go ahead.
I didn't even watch the live action one. I didn't even bother with it.
Yeah, I didn't bother with it either. Instead, I watched Adam and Pals.
Bruckheimer, right?
I've watched Adam.
No,
I've watched Adam and Pals talk about that movie, like commentate, like it's and apparently I'm just gonna give huge spoilers for the end of the Pinocchio movie. Pinocchio stayed as a puppet to show that, oh, he's a kid deep in his heart or something like that. Like, it tried to give this metaphorical message, like, screw you. Oh my god, that defeats the purpose of that particular Pinocchio narrative.
Yeah, like, the point of the whole story of Pinocchio is, like, he wanted to be a real boy. Like, it's like what they kind of did to,
Well, I've seen a few comparisons to people who have kind of compared.
Like, there was another movie that they screwed up so much with, like, the story, like, when they redid it. It was, in my opinion, it was Dumbo. When they redid Dumbo, they changed it so much. Like, not only was it now, like, much more darker than the original, they didn't even have the talking animals, which was the whole point of the original Dumbo.
It was just
it was so terrible. It was like, oh my gosh, why do you even try remaking movies? Like, if you're not gonna stick to the original storyline, then don't make it a remake. Make it a reboot.
Or just like make it its own thing then, and just don't call it the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That's my concern with their new Little Mermaid movie they're coming out with. I'm like, oh, they're gonna mess us up.
I'm not even gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But back on Pinocchio, it was God, there was something I was gonna say now. I'm trying to remember now.
The Guillermo one?
Fuck. Yeah, Guillermo del Toro. I can't remember now. But it's nice to see how he like I hate how this has to be done, but to show like the Academy as this person who like can win both best film and best animated film, because Del Toro is the man. He is a connoisseur. He is a man of culture. He loves all different forms of medium and loves like entertainment in general.
Absolutely.
Like I still remember watching the Hellboy movies back in the day in the theaters and just falling in love with this man's style.
Oh yeah, no, Pan's Labyrinth is still my favorite movie of all time.
That is still one of the only ones of his films I have yet to see in full.
Oh, it is good. Like, it is hard. It's brutal. Like, it earns its place. It definitely deserves to be rated R. But there is a magic, like, there's a sense of magic going on behind it. I'm not going to go into too much detail there. I will just say Pan's Labyrinth is definitely a chef's kiss. Like, I was turned off at first because of how dark it was, but then I started to appreciate its story more and more, and so much going on. Excuse me. And that movie is how I discovered Guillermo del Toro. And then I would find out other movies he was involved in, like The Book of Life, Hellboy, and
Pacific Rim.
Oh wait, he did Pacific Rim?
He made Pacific Rim.
Did he direct it or did he co-produce?
He directed.
Oh shit.
Oh, wow.
I'll have to take a look into that. Like, I've seen the
giant robots. Smashing monsters.
I have seen, like, I do remember seeing the movie before, but it was also shared with a bunch of other friends in a chat, and I didn't have enough of an idea to grasp it. I've seen a few moments that we're getting a little off topic here. I do apologize for that, but I am glad that Pinocchio won, despite my vote being for Puss in Boots. Everybody's already talked to death about how good Puss in Boots is, so we don't need to elaborate that any further.
Pretty much most of the people on the list for Best Animated Picture were really good this year, honestly. It was a toss-up on which one I wanted to win, honestly. I was happy with most of the ones that were nominated.
Yeah. And I do like that he's saying, if the Oscars, saying that animation is not a genre, it deserves more respect. Like, I know that they had to wrap it up quickly because they probably had a huge launch list of many other titles that year.
Yeah.
So, I think it's fair that we jump straight into that. So, everything took the show for several separate categories, and I will say immediately, I was ready to shed a tear when what's his name, Kihei Kwan. Feel free to correct me.
Some of you might know him as Short Round from
Temple
of Doom.
From Temple of Doom. Yeah, and I just see him grown up. I'm like, oh my god, that is.
And he's making the speech as he wins his Oscar, and he's crying as he mentions his mom.
He released his inner child. He's like, my mom was watching at home. Hi, Mom! I won an Oscar! I'm like, yes! Oh my god!
Aww.
Like, the dude is like 51, but he's got like his inner 10-year-old right there, and it's just, oh.
Aww.
And I just found out that he was in Squid Game too. I didn't watch Squid Game, so I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I kind of stayed away from Squid Game because of all the stuff I was hearing about it. I was like, this is weird.
I mean, but also there is a sense of entertainment behind it. But go ahead.
You had like Jamie Lee Curtis finally winning an Oscar. I mean, honestly, when it came to that category, I was kind of surprised it didn't go to Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever, because don't get me wrong, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I watched everything all at once, and like I loved her role in that film. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like Angela Bassett just put in such a performance in Black Panther and probably should have won, honestly. Mm-hmm. But I was still happy with Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's a really cool person, and in that role that she played it perfectly for what it was.
Yeah, I like Jamie Lee Curtis in a lot of her other roles that she's done. Like, I'm a horror person, so I love her in Halloween, and her role in that movie was just amazing. She played it off so well, and the fact that she kept doing that role over and over again, it's like, oh my gosh, like I love how she acts. She gets so into it.
Oh yeah.
So Jamie Lee Curtis was the teenager from the old Halloween movie, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
She's a daughter of Tony Curtis, and
yeah.
what was her mom's name?
Another
Hollywood royalty.
Her mom was in Psycho.
Yeah, her mother was the woman who was stabbed in Psycho, right?
Yeah, because I know that
Talk about family reunion. One horror flick's passed to another horror flick. Oh boy!
But
and she's like a really cool person in general, it seems.
Yeah, like I didn't see the movie that you mentioned, Ryley, that she was in recently. But like her role in Halloween Ends. I love that. I love that role.
I've only seen the 2018 Halloween movie. I need to catch up and watch the other two that came out. I didn't really hear great things about the recent one though.
I heard the latest one was garbage.
But like Everything Everywhere winning like Best Picture though. Sorry to get back on topic.
Yeah, we do have to get back on topic with that. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I did hear it's really good. I have yet to try
I watched it.
Go ahead.
After the awards, and it was not what I was expecting.
What were you expecting?
I guess I was just expecting the typical kind of multiversal travel type of film you usually think of, and it kind of goes... It's kind of that, but in a different way. And the fact that movie won Best Picture on a $14 million budget as well, too. Like, compared to, like, how much was, like, Avatar: The Way of Water, I bet you could have, like, funded a small country with the amount of, like, overused technology in that film that didn't need to do because it doesn't make up for the story like the first film. I don't know. I haven't seen The Way of Water, but that's kind of my opinion of the first film.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say much about The Way of Water. Like, it did get a brief nomination, but that's about it. With sound design, I am glad that Top Gun Maverick won that one.
I was surprised that it won that. What was the other competition, was it?
I don't know. Like, there were so many nominees with a particular war movie that I heard was a remake. It was Quiet at the... Somebody in the chat wouldn't know what it is.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, like... Because there's that.
Yeah, that was like a remake, I believe.
Yeah, and there's also the performance of the guys from Triple R, and the way they move their feet and everything, like it had a very interesting dynamic of that. Still, you have to check that movie out. There's like so many movies I have to catch up on. But it just in general, they took the Oscars so much more seriously. Not a big fan of Jimmy Kimmel though. He was really annoying.
He was okay at some points, but in others he just. I was just waiting for him to be off screen sometimes. Like he wasn't unbearable. Like he could get a good joke in every now and again, but it was just like, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, especially when he's like talking about the Will Smith slap. It's like, will people let that go already? Like, jeez.
Like, okay, maybe a couple mentions is cool, but after a while, it just feels like, okay, it's a slap. You guys are making all these jokes about the slap, but you didn't like exclude Roman Polanski until like what 2013.
Yeah, no, they don't have the Oscars don't have their priorities straight. But yeah, we're not going to open up that can of worms. I'm just tired of hearing about the slap, and honestly, I'm feeling more and more sorry for Will.
It just feels like everybody's like milking the shit out of it now, and I just want it to go. I just want it to end.
I want it to move on, you know?
But then, if we're going to talk about the Oscars, we got to talk about what every 90s and millennial probably thought of for the best winner for Best Actor.
Yes, a particular somebody who's absolutely sweet, has been through some unfortunate bullshit that when I heard his name announced for the winner, I was like, yes! I was screaming yes at the top of my lungs. And that is Brendan Fraser winning Best Actor. Oh my god, for The Whale. I haven't seen The Whale, but the fact that he won something, I just felt like he earned it so hard.
It's a sweet taste of what's the word? Not Schadenfreude, but like catharsis. It's a bit of cathartic, you know?
Oh yeah, and of course he gives his speech about, he gives a mention to his, his kids and just how grateful he is and everything. Like, it was genuine.
It was pretty genuine. I love the interview that they did with the kids afterwards where they talked about how he still does, like, dad jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, not you too, Brendan. Is there, like, some book that every dad is given as soon as their kid is born to give them the worst jokes imaginable? I need to know. I need to know this conspiracy. There's an elite group of dads who have to throw these jokes into everything. I'm sorry. Let's keep going.
I did hear some things about The Whale. I heard it's very, very bittersweet. I mean, it's directed by Darren Aronofsky, the same guy who directed Requiem of a Dream. Saw the movie once, never wanted to watch it again. It's good, but man, it left a very brutal taste in my mouth.
Like, that's another one I need to watch too. Like, Requiem for a Dream is trippy from what I remember, but like the only thing I know really about The Whale is like it was going through the circuit, going around to like cons and stuff, and there was some controversy recently that some people are having where like, oh, somebody who was actually 600 pounds should have played the role, which
no,
I get, but at the same time, that's not healthy.
You're putting someone's health at risk. No.
Yeah, no, I'd rather somebody in a fat suit than like somebody who is like that weight and can't physically move most of the time. And it's just I don't feel. I feel like that's too much. I feel like that's, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, it is understandable, and just like watch as soon as we mention that, they're like, oh, you just don't appreciate people who are fat. It's like, no, I'm concerned about people's health. Okay?
Yeah.
The whole thing about fat acceptance, it was blown out of proportion during the start of 2020. They're saying like, oh, accept you for who you are, just embrace yourself being fat. No, it's learning to accept that you're fat and you're willing to take the next step to eat healthier and held that's what it was supposed to go for. That's what the movement was for.
And it's not like Brendan Fraser didn't actually gain some weight for the film too, because I believe he did actually gain some weight for the film, and that's another like conversation of itself, is like these massive roles that some of these celebrities will do. Christian Bale, where they'll like lose half their body weight, become completely emaciated, and then like in their next role they have to bulk up and then starve themselves to give them an like a fake six-pack, you know?
That's what happened to a certain actor who played an iconic Joker role.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, when it comes to method acting, it really all depends on what they're going for. But if you're taking it too far to the point where it's either messing with your physicality or your mental health, that's not okay. Because not only are you doing damage to yourself, but you're spreading influence of that to other people. However, if you do work with certain method acting, where you're able to get the character nailed down and learn to separate fiction from reality, then it would be better. Then I would be open to that.
And make sure that when you do that whole transformation, like don't put too much weight on, and maybe try to make sure when you lose the weight or gain the weight, it doesn't like screw with your body's system somehow, you know?
Yeah, because I know that Tom Hanks was playing 2 roles at the same time during production of Castaway, and I think there was another movie. Because he was working with his weight so many times, he got diabetes.
Yeah.
That wasn't Tom Hanks. That was that was Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it was Tom Hanks.
I was thinking Tom Cruise for some reason. I thought you said Tom Cruise.
No,
I'm so used to
Tom Cruise worked the out. Like the dude is 60. He looks like he's 40.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought you said Tom Cruise, but yeah, Tom Hanks did do that for Castaway. Wilson! You're my wingman, Wilson!
Castaway, that movie got Tom Hanks type 2 diabetes, because he went through a yo-yo effect between roles.
Yeah.
So, and there's also...
you don't overwork yourself.
And there's also, what was his name? He's the frontman of 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh, yeah, the guy.
Oh my gosh.
He played the Joker in Suicide Squad.
Leno.
Jared Leno. Yeah.
Jared Leno. Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of that one.
His method acting was disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like it's a frequent thing though with him. It wasn't just the Joker. Like you heard about the shit he was doing behind the scenes of Morbius.
Oh, do tell.
Including like there was he would get so into characters being like emaciated and sick for the character that he wouldn't even like he had to be pushed around a wheelchair in real life, and because he wanted to act like he was so sick and shit, you know.
No. Okay, no. So now you're putting yourself into a bad position by not only hurting yourself, you're spreading bad influence, but you're also making it a problem for everybody else.
Yeah. It's just like everything. I can't even imagine what it's like to work with him.
I mean, I kind of heard the same thing.
Everything everything I hear about Jared Leto is just like, I do not trust the guy.
Yeah,
personally.
No, like that's enough is enough about. Yeah, no, enough. When it comes to method acting, I'm not strictly against it. It's just that everybody has not everybody, but a lot of people have the wrong way of approaching it.
Oh yeah, like you can be a method actor, but like, who was it that I heard this from? It's just like everybody likes to be a method actor when it comes to being an asshole.
Oh,
I forget who said that, but it's just like you see more like method acting for playing assholes, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like the same thing with with Heath Ledger and how he portrayed Joker. Because I heard that he went on like a lot of drugs in order to get to that role.
Yeah, and then at one point he was like,
it ended up hurting him in the end because like he's not with us anymore. So it's like it ended up hurting him in the long run of it.
Yeah, and the thing is like he was already like I remember hearing the story that he was on the phone with somebody and he said he was not feeling well. It's like, dude, we need to get the authorities. I need to get an ambulance or something. Hurry. But they were too late when he showed up. He was dead on arrival.
Yeah. So like. I don't like how people have to like change themselves for a role or like make themselves look better for that role. if you don't think you could do that role, don't change yourself in order to do that role.
Or if you're able to do that role, understand what the character is. Don't try to embrace too much of it. Just like, okay, yeah, because he's more like this. Or let's say you're a character who's, I don't know, like a drug addict. Just act it out like, yeah, it was like this and that. You know,
but don't make it inconvenient for everybody
around.
Don't
put narcotics on yourself. That's no.
Yeah. So, like, just the fact that they nominated a movie like that, and the fact that it gave off like a bad, like not a bad story, but like a bad
influence.
Like, like it's not gonna age well.
So when I trust me when I say that I was glad that Brendan Fraser did not increase his weight to try to represent the role and instead was put in a fat suit. I mean that for his health and for anybody else who would play a role like that.
Yeah. Like, it's all about being healthy and stuff.
Yeah, you do have to get your health, like your health is a big priority. If you're going to put it aside to make yourself look like the role of something and that's part of your method acting, no. I mean, because there have been scenarios where Brendan did put his life at risk and injured himself multiple times on the set of God knows how many movies. I would presume The Mummy, but I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah. God. And then you look at Tom Cruise's, what he did to The Mummy.
Times.
No, it wasn't just that. He took over that Mummy movie completely and turned it into his project.
Oh, yeah, no, that movie was... I already looked at the trailers. It looked like dog.
Yeah. But yeah, Brendan Fraser was like he was part of the charm of those films. Like, I even liked the second film. Okay, it had good aspects.
I didn't even know people hated it. It was like I didn't like the Scorpion King, but everything else was fine.
The Scorpion King CG is terrible.
Oh yeah, no, that was absolute. That digital image was.
Are we talking about The Mummy?
We're kind of jumping all over the place.
The Rock turning into the Scorpion CGI monster and shit.
Yeah, I was very confused because I've seen some of the Mummy movies. I just don't know which one you're talking about.
Okay, we're referring to Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. I will say that the movie definitely has a spot, and I mean the original. The sequel, it has its moments. I was definitely I saw it in theaters, and I was like, yeah, I enjoyed it. But it's ironically made me feel dead inside. Ouch. Oh, ironically, I misread that. Yeah, like I looked at the trailer for the Tom Cruise Mummy, and it's just like, yeah, I have nothing to say on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like, he actually took production over on that film, and it was like scheduled to release on a date he wanted it to release, and all this other stuff.
Yeah, no, just. No, but boy, we've been all over the subject matter. I will also mention I was very happy to see that Ke Huy Quan once again reunited with Harrison Ford, who actually gave out the announcement for Best Picture.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I saw the pictures and I remember seeing that moment. It was just like, you know what, Harrison Ford is kind of that kind of person who doesn't give a shit. And you just kind of respect him for it in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Like he really doesn't give a shit. He's just like, oh, he's a nice guy, but if he doesn't give a shit, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's just like, I can't even like find the right words for that, but and overall, like the Oscars, I was surprisingly good. It's like this felt like a big happy ending for everybody. Despite who won and who lost and what have you, like there was a
it could only go up after last year.
Yeah, and honestly, I hope that next year they actually learn their lesson and think, hey, you know, maybe we should listen to the people. You know,
like learn from what happened to YouTube Rewind. They didn't listen to the people on YouTube, and they gave us stupid YouTube rewinds that no one liked.
I'm trying to remember anything else from the entire
the Oscars
dedication the Oscars that stood out, and just really the main attractions, basic.
I will like the thing I did mention earlier. Some of the performances, like the Triple R performance, or RRR is what they call it, but I call it Triple R for short.
Yeah.
Great performance. I have yet to see that movie. It looks like fire.
Oh, now I remember. I got to hear on the Oscars "My Year of Dick" said out loud. And that made me laugh because I am a child.
I think we all are a child at heart for that. You cannot say you didn't laugh at that.
Yeah. I love that. When it came to Best Animated Short Films, and it was one of the nominations was My Year of Dicks.
So,
oh my gosh.
By this point, I think we've covered, because, everything everywhere all at once took so much, it was a huge grandiose, and it's kind of like a big elephant in the room, that when covering everything else that we focused more on, it's I think we covered everything about the Oscars at this point. Oh, excuse me. So,
yeah.
As we're still talking about movies, I will admit we are late to the party on this one, but hopefully we have things. I hope you guys know what your picks are. I do apologize for the last minute one, but let's go over what movies we really like this year. And this is CinePix of the year. So, Shouka, to shortly explain, I mostly save these for a yearly basis of what movies we liked from the previous year, to a total of about 3 titles, I think. And sometimes if we're flexible, we go for which one was quote-unquote the worst.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you have anything in your mind. Ryley, do you have any picks first? Because I'm opening the floor for anybody who wants to go first and what the top 3 are.
Are we just picking our top 3 movies that we enjoyed, or
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a top 3, and if you want to throw in a little fun, mention what movie you hated, which was the worst, just out of 1. But anyways,
okay, can I go first?
Go ahead, Ryley. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'd say as far as animated films, I put Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, of course. That film was I did not expect a Puss in Boots film to be that death or the fucking wolf. Every time I saw him on screen, he would just activate my fight or flight reflexes, and I just yeah. And as for other animated films, Bad Guys, I didn't see in theaters, but I loved the animation with that. I was kind of sad it wasn't nominated for the Oscars, but that was okay. And in the anime scene, One Piece Film Red made me interested in seeing a One Piece film instead of just keeping up with the story every few years or so. And as for disappointing films, the only one that really comes to mind is Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh.
That film, I saw a double feature where it was the original Jurassic Park film and that back to back at my local theater.
I'm gonna keep my mouth quiet because I love Jurassic Park.
Why? The only thing I will give Dominion props a little is that the practical effects were really good, and that's basically it. I could actually believe what I could see was on screen.
What about the fact they brought back all 3 of the original actors from the first movie?
It was cool at first, but then it kind of became blatant fan service. A lot of the new characters didn't really do much. There was that whole thing about the dino genetically. They basically spliced dino DNA with locusts in order to be able to manufacture these locusts to wipe out the world's crops, and except for the crops that they produce exclusively to sell to farms and such. I was supposed to be watching a film about dinosaurs in a park, and they're let loose on the planet, and there's all dinosaurs. Instead, why? You had so much potential.
I think I've mentioned this before, but I'll go out on a limb and say this. When I saw the trailer for Jurassic World, and I mean from 2015, I just straight up skipped it. Because it seemed like it completely missed the point of what the first movie was about.
Look, I will defend Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom because, like, I'm a longtime Jurassic Park fan, okay? The original Jurassic Park is, like, among my top 10 favorite films of all time. I would rewatch that VHS to and back as a kid. And, like, so I'm in for the long run with these series. I checked up all the films. I like Jurassic World. I thought it wasn't perfect. It's never going to be as good as the original or even the first two, but, like, it was okay. The T-Rex and Raptors fight against the Indominus was really cool. I thought that was one of the best things, and just the nostalgic bait that was throughout the film. But after a while, it was just like Fallen Kingdom came out. It brought up interesting ideas with cloning instead of just with the dinosaurs and stuff. But then at certain points, it just feels like
I do have to agree with you on the cloning thing, because, like, when the Dominion came out, then we're like, okay, so she wasn't cloned? Like,
kind of.
Like,
she was cloned and had her DNA fixed.
Yeah, but then it shows she was actually born. It's like you just confused us so much from the last movie's, like, plot.
So
it's like you can tell these films don't get, like, planned out. It's just like, okay, why? If you're going to make a trilogy of these films, why don't you plan them out? The one of the greatest film trilogies of all time, Lord of the Rings, came from books. But again, that's the thing. It was
really well.
They were planned out, and they were, like, fucking shot all in a row too for, like, what was it, 20 weeks or something like that they filmed for. And it's just like you see all these, like, trilogies of films coming out, and it's just like there's no plan with them. There's no, like, cohesion from one movie to the next. There's no, like, oh god, the fucking sequel films for Star Wars. It's just like, after a while, I'm just like, why should I get invested? Because it feels like they're not invested enough to make sure that we're invested.
So,
you know?
Question: what was the name of the old man in the first movie with the cane?
Welcome
to Jurassic Park.
John Hammond.
Yeah, John Hammond.
Yeah. Did he die in Jurassic World?
He didn't die. The actor passed away.
Yeah, the actor passed away. They had a reasoning of what happened to him and everything, but like, it just kind of, it doesn't work with the movies.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna make a joke saying he was probably turning in his grave.
But yeah, I agree with you on that type of situation. Like, they could have done the story a lot more better for the last movie, but.
All right. So, what is Ryley? What is your top pick of 2022?
That I honestly don't know. It is such. I can't pick out one definitive film that really, like, was the thing that stood out as my, like, favorite, and I kind of like that because it was just a year of, like, a lot of standout films in general, you know.
You know, that is fair. So what I'm considering is that maybe, like, until you're ready, I think we could pass it up to Shouka. Do you have any picks?
I have three movies that I actually enjoyed.
Okay, go right ahead.
The first one that was from Disney, it was Disenchanted. I really enjoyed that movie.
Oh, really?
Just the fact that they brought back Enchanted after so many years. And they kind of made a twist where the fact of Giselle becoming evil because of a wish that she made to make her life better, which threw me off. I was like, oh my gosh. The second one was the Spirit Halloween movie that came out.
The Spirit Halloween. I don't think I've heard of this one.
The guy from Back to the Future, he's in it. The doc. he's in the movie. He plays a ghost because it's an actual. So pretty much like the premise in the movie, long and short, it's a haunted spirit Halloween store.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's weird. It's a weird movie, but I actually enjoyed it. I recommend watching it. It's actually pretty good.
All right.
And the third one that I actually enjoyed, and I know that you guys, I talked about it earlier, Halloween Ends. I liked it just because it picked off from where the last one was, which I like because sometimes sequels don't really do that. And they had a lot of suspense in that movie. I was like literally on the edge of my seat, just like watching it and like trying to understand like what was going on. And everything shocked me in that movie. What happened? But I think the worst movie that I thought of this last year was another Disney movie, Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh, okay.
Because they did not need to make a second one, because at the end of the first movie, the sisters died pretty much. So like, why would you bring them back? Why would they be brought back? Because if they evaporated at the end of the last movie, how would they come back?
So the fact that we didn't need it. So the question is more like how.
Yeah, and I didn't like. I liked the songs from the first movie that they had, but the songs from this movie, they're just so annoying, and I hated them. And just the fact that one of the actresses, me and my family just don't like her, and the fact that she's in the movie again, it's like, why? Why are you in this movie? She played one of the witches, but like it was not. She was like, I don't know, because she had like a lot of stuff happening before the movie even was made that did not help her image at all. And yeah, so I hated Hocus Pocus 2. It was like one of my least favorite movies from this last year.
These are very interesting picks. Because like, so the titles that you picked most of the time, can't say anything about Spirit Halloween, the movie, but I know that that Halloween Ends and what was the other one? Disenchanted. They received some generally negative reviews. So it's nice to hear that somebody has a different take on it compared to just being a run-of-the-mill sheep commentary or anything like that.
Yeah, because I like to see the positive things in the movie. I tend not to look at the negative unless it's really bad and obvious, like in Hocus Pocus 2. But like with Disenchanted and Halloween Ends, I generally didn't see anything wrong with them. I just hope for Halloween Ends they don't bring back Michael Myers again after they supposedly got rid of him. But like, other than that, like those are the only movies that I found interesting this year were those three. Because I tend to not really go to the theaters anymore to watch movies.
All right, so...
Oh, I love the theater experience.
Yeah, the theater experience is different compared to watching something at home.
Yeah.
So, because there's that going on of what got people, like what gets butts in seats. So, I had to think through very carefully of what my picks are for what happened last year, because there was a ton that I found that seemed to really stick out to me. So I'll go ahead and go over what my top 3 picks are, and I will. This is kind of cheating saying this because I've only seen the movie through the Adam and Pal's discussion, but you already know what it is. So my pick for the worst of 2022 is the Disney version of Pinocchio, because it's, once again, I am sick and tired of the Disney remakes. They're not necessary. They're completely unneeded. And yet they're making a ton of money because people are going to go see them. They're being nostalgia baited. And I just think that's an evil corporate practice. But also, when they go to make the changes, they make the changes for the wrong reasons. Apparently, because the story of Pinocchio is about Pinocchio's journey into being a real boy, but it turns around where he stays as a puppet to show that he's a good boy at heart. And I think that is a big view to the character's progression and journey, because the point of his character was to develop and understand the values of, listening to what you're told, be a good boy and everything to be a real boy, and earn his place to actually become a real boy, literally be turned into one. But saying that he's a good boy at heart and he remains as a puppet, it completely defeats the purpose of why he would start that journey in the first place. And I think that's just not cool. Especially considering that the movie visually is really difficult to watch. Like, you have that weird Robert Zemeckis sort of CG look to it, where everything is also bright.
Motion capture.
And not to mention the brightness in that movie is so hideously bright.
Zemeckis is absolutely obsessed with that motion capture animation. Like, even with the failure, the absolutely abysmal failure of Mars Needs Moms, he's still obsessed with it. I'm not saying it doesn't have its uses and stuff, but I don't know.
It definitely has its uses, but it's just...
A lot of it is really like uncanny valley territory for me.
Yeah, and it seems like he's not taking the criticism at heart and trying to, make it better. So, with that out of the way, because everybody and their dog knows that the Disney remake of Pinocchio is absolute hot garbage. So, ranking from bottom to top, I'm going to start off with, at number 3, The Batman. The Batman was a movie that I didn't expect to be made again, and let alone that, I was a little skeptical about the casting choice where Robert Pattinson would play Bruce Wayne. But upon watching
I was open to it.
Oh yeah, no, I was opening myself to it, because I looked at the trailers, okay, so they're kind of going for a slight Christopher Nolan sort of route, but at the same time have something more of a fantasy-driven sort of thing, because even though they have that realistic, setting... But it has a touch of fantasy to it, because you can tell a lot of that movie was shot with a green screen, and they used a lot of they used some ancient architecture to such a degree that's kind of reminiscent of the Tim Burton movie. So it's like a mesh of those two.
Gothic, yeah.
It's a mesh of those two, but still its own identity, and I like that.
It's one of those Batman films that also emphasizes Gotham as a character in of itself, and why Batman is like they explain in the film why he can't kind of just throw money at it and stuff, but that's a whole other issue. But it's just like it really emphasized the world of the Batman.
It did, and I have to give them props for that they made the city itself a character. That's something that the Christopher Nolan movies did not really do. Or they kind of did, but it's kind of like...
They tried to,
but it wound up just taking the backseat to develop a lot of Bruce Wayne's character. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. There didn't seem to be a proper balance.
Yeah, plus in the Dark Knight films, it just felt like also it wasn't Gotham, it was just Chicago.
Yeah. But I like where they went for here. There's definitely a lot of red.
And black.
Red and black, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. Cue the Nirvana song and everything. But just aside from that, a lot of the actors were great as their roles. For John Turturro as... I forgot what his name was, but he was one of the antagonists. Paul Dano as the Riddler, he was great. And, I have nothing against him. I just remember that he was that one kid from There Will Be Blood, so I had, bad memory flashbacks. But his role was so phenomenal as the Riddler.
It was definitely different, and I liked how different it was.
Yeah. So, I am excited to see the next installment of the Batman, because it was announced that there's going to be another one set for 2025. So, that's about 2 years from now. So, at number 2... Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with no surprise there. Originally, I was going to go for, some other animated movie, but then I decided, you know what, I think this one definitely takes the cake, because I was definitely convinced that thematically tackles on death, fear, anxiety, and all those things, how it developed Puss's character, ranging from being a careless superhero, where he died multiple times, to where now he's at this dead end in his life, and he has to keep himself alive. He starts to realize, oh, I need to value myself more, because he had too much pride in him. Death was written beautifully well. And at the same time, so many other characters you would normally expect to where there would be too much to keep track of, but the movie balanced it out so well. From the three bears,
all the characters were funny and interesting in their own ways.
Yeah, you have Goldilocks and the three bears, and you have a good subplot with them where Goldilocks just wanted to have a regular family compared to a bear family. You have Jack Horner, who I think that's what his name was, Jack Horner.
Yeah, he is the most unremorseful piece of shit, and he's so entertaining as it.
Like, I still remember the scene with the cricket who's like, okay, yeah, this is a Jiminy Cricket knockoff. It's like, you're a horrible being. What took you so long, idiot? And there was...
you're an irredeemable monster!
Yeah, was there anybody else? Because I could have sworn there was, like, another group, trying to get the...
No, it was mainly, like, Puss, it was Kitty, it was, what was the dog's name? Perrito.
Yeah, so Perrito, surprisingly... I grew to really like the character very fast. Like, I thought he was...
I thought he was going to be just an annoyingly happy character, and he was... Yeah,
but the way they executed it, because there was a scene where my friends and I were watching it, and we have a scene where he's, like, mentioning that he was... They had this game where, they wrapped me up in a sock and they tossed me out of the ocean, and then they didn't talk to me anymore. But hey, who's wearing the sock now? And I just had to pause and be like, what the f***? That's a Sal turn, and he made it positive.
He was a bundle of joy, and I love him.
Yeah, and like he had a great support for Puss when he was like, because everybody, I think you all know what I'm talking about, the anxiety scene where he's at the tree and he's hyperventilating so much because he's trying to run from death, and then he comes in and he rests his head on top of Puss's chest, calming him down. And it's one of the most realistic portrayals of having a panic attack. And it's like, I had no words to like explain there. Like, man, they really snuck that in there. But the Death character himself, holy shit! Like, he comes across as like, he comes across as like, on the surface as like a bounty hunter, but more like a creepy bounty hunter sort of thing. Like, I was like a big fan of you if you could just sign right here. Like, he's like getting really, really close to Boots. So it gives you these uncomfortable senses. And then he just straight up says, I am death. And I don't mean metaphorically or rhetorically or any other fancy word. I am straight up death.
Every time he is on screen, again, fight or flight or freeze instinct.
Yeah. He knows how to make people shit their pants. But just like, there was a lot of heart that went into this movie, and it was why it was my pick, because it reinvented the wheel of the good old, like, good versus evil, but also mixing it with a very important theme and message going on. And it was firing on all cylinders. It hit all the right notes. And just seeing how all of that, looking back at it, it's just like, I'm on par with everybody else who really loves Puss in Boots.
Yeah, and the fact that they made the entire Shrek
a Shrek spin-off, no less.
A Shrek spin-off good, but they also made the human characters looked appealing,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem I've had with a lot of DreamWorks films, is like, yeah, some of their like non-human characters will work and not look like so uncanny valley-ish, but then you look at like Monsters versus Aliens and some of the humans in Megamind,
that spitting image type of look.
I mean, they're doing better recently in recent years with their humans, but like for a while I did not like their designs for humans.
Yeah.
I also just liked I liked Puss in Boots
I should say.
Like, Puss in Boots as a character, I liked him because he reminds me a lot of Zorro.
I mean, that's what he's supposed to represent. He's voiced by
Antonio Banderas.
Banderas, yeah.
Who actually played Zorro in one of the movies that came out.
Oh.
Yeah, he played Zorro in like 1998's The Mask of Zorro.
Yeah. So it's no surprise when I say this. Go watch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish if you haven't seen it yet.
Like, if you haven't seen the original Puss in Boots, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter anything.
Like, if you did, like, there's a few scenes that would be, like, funnier if you had seen the first film, I guess. A little chuckle here and there, but at the same time, it's just like, I didn't really remember too much from the first film when I went and saw it, and I'm just like, Yeah, I'm okay with not remembering the first film. I don't need to. This is fine.
Yeah,
this is fine.
Like The Last Wish does a good job on its own. So finally, reaching to my number one, and this is definitely more of a biased sort of reason behind it, but it does make something convincing that gives me hope for Hollywood in the future. My top pick, and it's been my top pick for a while, Top Gun Maverick. So
now, who could have seen that coming?
Shut up. So I was one of those few people who liked the Top Gun movie. I understand why a lot of people did not like it at that time because the soundtrack is repetitive. It has too much style over substance and everything. Top Gun Maverick told a very important story about next generation and how you should never forget the skills that pilots had from the past. With Maverick, who's still dealing with the burden of, losing Goose, because for those who haven't seen the original movie, Goose died when the two of them were rejecting from a flat spin, and he broke his neck when he just right on impact from hitting the canopy. So Maverick survives, and he has to deal with the burden that he just, like, the movie does a brief recap. Sorry. He does a brief, the movie recaps, like, through his memories of him going through that. But also, he's trying to, like, be a father figure to Goose's son, who joins the Navy to become a pilot and all that shit. And I'm getting a message from Kitty. Oh, sorry about that. So, it's him having to do his best to try to, make sure that that Goose's son is safe. Hi, Dusk. And the movie, obviously you have the beautiful flight sequences where the planes are just flying all over the place. Like, I can't really define it very well, but it's very well choreographed. They used, I was surprised that there were some CGI stuff in there, because I was told previously that pilots had to actually make some close shots and such, and there were some footages to prove that they were using cameras to get some close-up shots of planes flying across the hills and everything, which it's very risky, but there's a lot of skill involved. But it had this very good narrative going on, and not just being, just, ooh, planes flying around, tons of action and everything. It had a lot of heart put into it. Also, I'm one of the very few people who loved Hold My Hand by Lady Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
So,
didn't they also play that at the Oscars as well?
I think it did get nominated, but it lost to, I think it was a song from RRR. I could be wrong there.
Okay.
If it doesn't, whatever.
RRR?
RRR. It was one of the, it was...
You sound like a pirate with hiccups.
Triple R was an action, somewhat of a 3-hour action movie that was made, I think it was made in India.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still on my to-do list to see. But Top Gun Maverick just had a great balance between its action. It had a good, it had a very good narrative between Maverick and Goose's son, who they call Rooster. I can't spoil too much about it because I know that not everybody has seen it yet, but they put a lot of heart into this film, and it's shown that you don't need superheroes to make a good summer blockbuster. You don't need a bunch of constant familiar familiar stuff or any trends that go on. You just need to have a good script and just a good amount of fun to put into the film. And it had a great balance with that even critics loved it. I was very skeptical when Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 97%. Okay, let's see what this movie has in mind. I was going to go see it regardless. But I was very impressed with what the movie gave, and I stuck with that movie for as long as I could over the course of 2022. I know that some would argue that they like other movies better, and you know what? That's okay. That's completely fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just end myself there because there's a lot of pockets of silence. So Dusk, we are discussing what our top 3 picks or top 3 movies that we liked from 2022. And as a bonus, you can pick which movie you were disappointed the most.
You think I have time for movies?
Okay, then. I guess. Okay, then.
I liked Puss in Boots. I know it's the wrong year, but there you go.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think that's the last movie I watched. I don't remember anything before that. I think last movie I watched that's not like, for nostalgia reasons before that was Spider-Man Into the Multiverse.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, sorry.
Yeah, that movie won Best Animated Film of the Oscars 2019, didn't it?
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, how do I put this? I see how it's affecting other animated movies. For example, again, the other movie that I saw, Puss in Boots, had some of the same stylized workings
where they had
when they're dealing with fight sequences.
During the flights. Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Oh, it is. It's done very well.
And I liked how they made it sort of mesh into that. Now, that's not a new style. That's been around since Kung Fu Panda.
Okay.
Golden, you're lighting up, but I'm not hearing anything.
What?
I wasn't sure if you were trying to talk or not.
No. I was just simply agreeing with you. That's what it came down to. So, Ryley, go ahead, Dusk.
I don't remember. I just don't remember any other movies that stood out. I mean, it's very possible that Riley's going to say, "Oh, I like this one." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was from that year." Like, I have a 5-second memory. People, give me a break.
No, it's fine. It's fine. All right. So, Ryley, have you figured out your top pick or your favorite movie of 2022?
You know what? Honestly, give it to Film Red. It made me interested in like One Piece again.
Okay then.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is definitely up there in the top 10. And the bad guy, between the bad guys, Turning Red, and Pinocchio, it's just like, it was such a good year for some films and animated films in general too, honestly.
You know what? I want to give an honorable mention to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as another big example of making game adaptations that are good. Not cashing in on a game's success or sloppily piecing together something, assuming, oh yeah, that's what people like from the games. No, like, it's just, there was so much fun going on with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That's pretty much my honorable mention. There was like, it would have felt foolish of me to try to put in the top 3 because there's like other moves that I enjoy more of. But yeah, I want to get an honorable mention of that, and I want to support movies like that to encourage, future development of movies that definitely live up to its hype, depending on what you're advertising. So I think we've pretty much covered all the ground here for this particular topic. And Dusk, now that you're here, I think it's time
I am here.
Yes, I think it's time we talk about something you would be looking forward to the most, and I have been saving it for anybody else. Let's talk about Helluva Boss, X's and O's. Who wants to go first?
Let us. It is beautiful. So I am going to take the opportunity to go first. I hope no one else.
Go ahead, by all means.
Go ahead. Yeah, so, first of all, another absolutely brilliant episode. I really, really enjoyed that we're getting into, like, backstories. I really hope Millie is next, because, like a lot of people, I have noticed that she's sort of getting the short end of the stick when it comes to background. Like, even the episode that was supposed to be about her background, like, dealing with her family, was about Moxie.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is about Moxie, which, understandably, he is wonderfully pathetic. But at the same time, I do want more about Millie, since we've had a Luna episode, we've had a Blitzo episode, we've had a Moxie episode, we've had several Moxie episodes. We've had the Owl family, the Goetia family. We've had all of that. It is time for a Millie episode, but I really do like what they were going with here, in that his background makes sense for a demon.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's good.
He's an imp. So yeah, he would come from a really bad background. That he comes from the world of greed is beautiful. I really like that, and that they have it staged in different areas.
Oh yeah, I love that aspect.
That was really clever. I like all the little background gags. His father is portrayed beautifully, as horrific, but he's portrayed beautifully because they use the same voice actor, so that there's the similarity in tone.
Mm-hmm.
That was really, really clever. A couple of moments that I don't know if they should have been in there at that specific time. Like, okay, the dildo scene where like come out of everywhere sort of really broke the tone, but that is what this show specializes in.
Yeah, they do specialize in the shock value and such. And I did read some of the comments on the episode, and I can kind of agree that the dildos that were all over the place are objectively distracting compared to the harsh tones between the father and son dynamic and how brutally uncomfortable it was.
I don't know. I didn't see it as it felt like it was up to the scale of the tone of the rest of the series, honestly.
I will say this, I do love the moment where Blitz kind of just like dupes himself into being with that shark kid. I forgot his name.
Boy.
Chester? Chaz. There you go.
And then we see afterwards, and then we see afterwards he uses that to his advantage, saying, all right, you're not really good in bed. Let's see what else you've done and such, to go investigate what he is up to. And I just thought that was a clever way for Blitz to get around and to like being supportive with Moxie and Millie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean,
go ahead.
Imagine having the same ex as your current partner. I can't even imagine that, honestly.
I do love that Millie was just like flashing out the knife towards his throat. He's like, no, get out. So
she was just ready to tear out his throat. Like, Millie was just taking no shit. Again, I agree with Dust. I do want to see more about Millie, like see more than just the murderous absolute
I'm fine with more absolute murderous rage, but I do want a her-centric episode.
I know. I like that aspect of her. I just want to see like more about her personality.
I can definitely agree with that. I have been hearing a lot of complaints about that she's she's being like tossed to the wayside, or she's like taking the backseat, but she's had so many terrific moments just off of being a bad and a sweetheart at the same time. Now I do hope that, like, because I know that like she, like, even the episode about her family was just a result of her taking the back step and focusing more on Moxie. And I definitely hope we get something like that in the near future. But even as is, I am very satisfied with what Millie was written for in the series so far.
I want to know how they met.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see how.
Like, what turns Millie, who is this Western, sadist of a walking weaponry, into this like pile of mush when she meets basically this awkward theater kid.
I could see it.
I mean, yeah, I will love to see an episode about that.
I want to see it. I can see it too.
Yeah, like I'm guessing that, and I'm just speculating here, it could just be that with Moxie being a sweetheart and just being incredibly awkward, it's a departure compared to everybody else is just an absolute creep to her, or just an absolute dick to such a degree. That's just my only guess. We'll only have to wait until we would get an episode about that. If, fingers crossed, we get something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and like the boy too. What? That's just what Chaz was. He was a total boy.
Oh
yeah, but we are not going to see him again.
Yeah, no, he dead.
He was
very dead.
As soon as his dad.
As soon as Blitz calls him out saying he played you up like a rube. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I like that it got pointed out. I cannot remember who this is, so I do apologize for this, but there was a review I watched about it, and it was talking about how Moxie's dad keeps trophies of those who have crossed him.
Mm-hmm.
We saw his mother's shoe float up from the death pool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who'd like to bet that her horns are up there?
Okay, so I did see that,
and he had to walk past that.
That I can't even imagine having to walk past that. Every time you see your dad. Like, Jesus.
You're welcome for that happy thought.
So some people have stated that because there's that brutal scene where Moxie as a kid is taken with his dad to take somebody to drown them out into the lake. Some people speculated that maybe that was the mother, but it wasn't, because the mother had thinner horns, and
Correct.
And the horns.
Yeah, but didn't it have her shoes or something?
Well, her shoe flew up, but that's indicating that sometime
She was already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is likely that her horns and or wings or whatever are up on the wall, but we will not know that. That's sort of more up to the viewer to sort of figure out.
Amethyst Majesty, we definitely know.
Sorry, I can't see the chat.
No, it's fine. And the doorbell just rang. I will be right back. You guys go ahead and try to keep the
All right. Afloat. Let's ruin this PG rating.
I'm gonna.
There we go. Oh man, apparently there's everywhere in the walls, so there's that.
Oh,
there's those in the walls.
Okay, I will say this. I like that Moxie was pointing out. It's like, you can't just go putting all over the walls. What the hell? And then, like, Blitz in the background saying, "Oh my god, there's everywhere. That is hilarious." That's Blitz for you.
It's been 84 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because Moxie's dad is a scum. Yeah, his ego was bruised because, like, Moxie's mother was very moral driven.
Which is honestly weird for an imp.
Yeah, I was like, it's a whole suspension of disbelief. Like, yeah, they're in hell and they're demons, but like nature and nurture.
Well, are they demons or are they imps? Because we know that they're not sinners. We know that they're imps. So the question is, what is the difference between imps and demons? Do imps have to follow the orders? Do imps have to follow the orders of demons? Are they a separate classification?
I would guess because it's hell, it's probably classism.
Probably, but at the same time, how are they created? Were they like they keep saying that they were not from the living world, so they were never from the living world. They never have a sense of morality. So the only morality is what they choose. Whereas
That's
demons
true.
were certainly the upper demons were once angels, so they do have a sense of morality and right and wrong. If we're going off pure, facts here.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that apparently imps can feel morality. I mean, because she did not see Moxie's mom had no interest in her son being part of the family biz. For what reason, we don't know. Whether it was because she felt that it shortened his chances of survival, in which case you're just talking about drive for survival, which does make sense that she would not want him in there in that case, but everyone on that level was about that.
If I may.
So are we talking about... Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so sorry for the interruption. We do have a scene from the not the pilot, but the first episode where Imp was hired to take to avenge a teacher over an incident that happened, and there was like this happy family. Yeah, and Moxie was just like, this is a happy family here. Like, he was starting to like get those kind of feelings. So I don't know if maybe whether or not that would be the influence from the mother, or that maybe there is something in regards to imps, if whether or not they there is a separate part of them that has this sense of moral value compared to, just doing a bunch of things of what you're supposed to do in hell, because it's hell and you're supposed to do a bunch of horrible things.
Well, in hell, especially in the level of greed, the best way to exist is to be on top. Or to be somewhere in the middle. Being on the bottom rung, as Moxie is basically chosen, is not a good way for survival. So you would think the mother would try and steer him away from that. Instead, she seemed to encourage his more, shall we say, delicate features. Which is why the dad got rid of her.
And apparently, sorry for the off topic, apparently Moxie still has those, still has that moral side.
Yeah, which is, again, interesting for an imp of where did it come from? Is this the same thing as what we see in Hazbin Hotel, where demons can sort of figure out, hey, we can sort of stop these purges if we are good? Did she get that idea as well and then just ran with it and wanted to pass it on to her son? Did she feel that it would help his life expectancy? Like, it really depends if we're talking about can imps... Like, we know that imps can love. We have already established that with Blitz.
Mm-hmm.
that love is actually a thing and fear is actually a thing, and all of those emotions you generally find in humans are real thing. So it's a question of, did they want to be better? In which case, how would that have helped them where they were? Because as far as we know, no imp has ever gotten to heaven. So, like, it's a question of where did she come from? Where did she get the idea from? Why was she determined to pass it on to her son? And in some ways has. Because otherwise, the only lesson he would have learned is that being good gets you killed, because that's what happened to his mother. Being a child at the time, that's what would have influenced him, unless she had divulged something else to him.
Unless, maybe there was something of his good deed that got him Millie.
Which good deed?
I mean, he could have done something good for Millie in a sense that it would just be based on the moral values. Because Millie went through a lot, risking her life at saving Moxie on several occasions, including this episode. So, maybe there was something out there that encourages Moxie to continue doing whatever good deeds they are, despite, being in hell. And that, you run the risk of getting yourself killed if you go with, committing to good deeds. So maybe there's something about him that still encourages him. Maybe it's because of Millie. Maybe it's because that's just how he was hardwired according to what his mother did.
Mm-hmm.
And these, like a lot of these are very, very speculative, and maybe future episodes would cover that. But that's just how, that's kind of how I kind of guess it through. That's what I am perceiving.
Well, yeah, all we can do is, bless you, all we can do is sort of guess at this time.
So meet Charlie at some point in Hazmat Hotel. Maybe I think that's I think that's part of like a big grandiose going on with Hazmat Hotel. I heard an announcement that the series is like set to be streaming from A24 sometime in the future. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I liked Hazmat Hotel a lot, so
I do. I am looking forward to more.
I am, but back to a Helluva Boss.
Yes.
What else have we covered here?
Movies we liked.
No. I'm just talking about the episode.
Well, Shouka has not gotten a chance to talk about Ryley. If you have anything else to say.
So, go right ahead. My apologies.
No.
Honestly, you kind of went over everything there, from the psychological damage that his father gave to him and how he's kind of a delicate flower in a way. Mm-hmm. In a way. He still murders the f*** out of people, but
Oh, I mean, no one's perfect.
Yeah. But it's like... boy who, from the first moment... Yeah, I just can't help it. Every time I see him on screen, that is the first thing that comes to my mind is just boy. I'm sorry for all this swearing you're gonna have to censor out, Golden, but sorry. It's just that is what he is, the very textbook definition.
Yeah, and also it's not your fault, Ryley. YouTube and advertisers are thin. They are spineless.
Yep.
Well, that's not going to get you kicked off the platform.
But I would like the action scenes, the backstory for Moxie a bit more. I liked. I do agree that we do need to see more of Millie. I think even Vivsy has said on Twitter about how she is planning on doing more Millie and that she wanted to address that kind of talk and stuff. I didn't really.
Awesome.
But I'm really every episode we find out more about these characters and we find out more about this world, and doesn't it all exist within the same world as Has Been Hotel too?
Yes,
the same hell.
The best part is out there is no filler. Even the ones that you think are going to be a filler
they have a purpose.
Oh yeah,
it's incredibly impressive how much writing.
Oh, it is. And, we've had long gaps for each episode. And you know what? I say good. Take your time in writing each episode and making sure that it's solid and that it actually, it helps take on, other things that were mentioned previously. I'm morbidly curious about the cherubs in a future episode.
Oh, they'll be back.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be back. They're probably going to want to go after the imps.
Well, yeah. Well, don't forget, we also have other VivziePop projects coming out later this year.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so... so covering the pocket of... Raiza, you son of a bitch!
What did he do?
Look at the chat. Sunbabies and Luigi twerks. Motherfucker. Get your ass on the call. Get your ass on the call.
You can't. It is jiggling.
I was just about to ask Shouka if she wanted to say anything about the Helluva Boss episode.
I mean, granted, I was gonna watch it and all that. I haven't seen it at all yet. So,
sorry for all the spoilers.
It's fine. I genuinely like VivziePop stuff because I used to watch her stuff all the time before these characters became an actual show, and I just love her style of animation and her drawings. It's really beautiful, the artwork she does, and the fact that her first official introduction of these types of characters were in the Has Been Hotel pilot episode that she did. The fact of how far she's come to make a full series like Helluva Boss. I am just amazed at how much she's gotten done.
Minor correction. Her style has been around for a hell of a lot longer than Has Been Hotel.
I mean, from what I remember and all that, so...
Yeah, no, I've been a fan since her comic book days with Zoophobia. It is a fantastic comic. I really recommend everyone go look at it, and I do wish that she would continue it. I don't know if it's ever going to be continued, but it is beautiful, and it's where you meet some of the, shall we say, base characters of some of the Has-Been and Helluva Boss characters.
Yeah, I think out of the Helluva Boss characters, though, the one that I actually like the most was, from what I've seen so far of them, was, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the name. Well, I know Millie is one of them I like, because just her design and how she acts and all that, I really like it. But I also like the owls, the owl designs.
Stolas?
Yeah.
Stolas?
Yeah.
Stolas is pure. Well, in the sense where it's he's very lovable.
Man,
I just love them so much, just their design wise and just how they're made is just amazing. But I can't really say too much about the episode since I haven't seen it.
It's good. I'm trying to keep a straight face because Raiza, boy, boy, you know what you did.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mister.
Do not give me that droopy tone, boy. Don't you dare.
I have clinical depression.
No.
I have osteoporosis.
Okay. So how far are we talking about? Did we talk about the scene yet?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna give my quick summary. The scenes are hilarious. He thinks his son is hella gay. I think people are saying oh, Blitz shouldn't have f***ed Chaz. I'm like, it's in his character to f*** him to me. It makes sense.
He used that to his advantage.
Oh yeah, that is what he does. He literally just uses people.
Yeah,
I was like, I think it's completely in his character, which I found hilarious. And also, I knew he would want to say they all the same guy. He did it out of pity, not pity, but
a brag.
Yeah, out of spite. Let's see, what else was there? Millie's a power top.
I mean, yeah. Didn't take this episode to know about that.
Oh, I mean, she embraced the power top, is what I was getting at.
Always has. You go, girl.
I want to think Chaz is not dead.
He's dead.
I know he's dead, but I think
He's
this also
on a wall.
I think at this point it also implies how Stryker fits in play. I think Moxie's dad hires Stryker to kill Moxie.
Probably.
Yeah.
That would not shock me.
Yeah, I think that's where that little. I think back in April we got a bunch of cutscenes from season 2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
and it was that fight with Stryker and Moxie and Millie, so that's probably where that comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he comes back because he was sexy as but anyway.
I do like how Millie just took on all the sharks to save Moxie while he was literally dressed in a wedding dress while he's all like bound and gagged and everything. And he's got like a cringe run on the tape. Go ahead.
Okay, but the priest walking out with two middle fingers.
Yeah, he's
up.
like, screw this, I'm out of here.
Beautiful. Just beautiful.
Go on, Raiza.
I just don't know how. I think Moxie's backstory is depressing.
No shit.
It is very depressing. Like, I know people are trying to imply that the person that Moxie killed wasn't his mom, but I'm like, it's his mom.
Are you
I don't know
sure?
who's implying that because
Yeah, we already see the shoe that floats up, but that was way in the distance.
Because like the thing about it was, like I said, I've seen this on Twitter a couple of times, but people were saying that it wasn't Moxie's mom because her tail pattern, the pattern on her tail was completely different. But
Correct.
You can just argue that was just animation.
so the person that he was forced to kill by his father, I don't think is his mom. It had, first of all, they had more of a masculine build. Second of all, horns and tail were both wrong.
Yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see. The episode need more Stolas.
And Ryley.
Needs more Stolas.
Agreed.
Yeah. I love Stolas. He's my favorite character.
Sexy owl man.
Oh, he's my favorite. All right. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No shit. I think that's what everybody thinks of him.
Yeah, but so many people draw him in the wrong position. Anyway.
Right?
The man is a bottom. Deal with it.
Yeah, he can't top. It'd be kind of sad, but I think it'd be kind of funny at the same time. I do, and I still am the believer of, once again, Luna just not having anything going for her. I want more Luna development for me to care for the character. Obviously, this is obviously a very Moxie-focused episode, but like Luna literally took part in nothing again.
Well,
and I just don't.
She's sort of the office lady.
Yeah, I know. I just don't like that. I just like what bugs me is she's a fan favorite for being furry bait, and that's just not.
Well,
I don't care for that.
Anybody could be furry bait, but she has a very good design to it.
Yeah, it's called furry bait.
She kind of reminds me of Roxy from FNAF Security Breach, like design wise. Like they're both wolves.
Say I'm a hot take this one real quick. I think the Five Nights at Freddy's designs in that game are not that good.
I don't think they were made to be good.
I agree with you on Glamrock Chica.
I just don't like any. I didn't care for any of them, but that's a different topic. But my issue, like, my thing is Luna gets away for being claimed a good character just because she's pretty, and to me that doesn't make a good character. That just makes a very boring character. Like, we get like development in episode 2, but like it's still not enough for me to care. Like, I want to see more of like Luna interacting. Like, obviously we should. I think Finn. I do agree with Finn's point. I think they put too many things into one episode and didn't flesh it out. Like, cause that entire thing with Octavia and Luna could have been its own thing.
Are you talking about Man?
No. The episode, the episode where not Luna, but Octavia goes to LA.
Oh, the previous episode, yeah.
Yeah, so like I do agree with Finn's opinion on that. I think they put in too many like things in one episode.
I think it fits, but I do understand that it was a fairly crowded episode and why someone would think that. But I feel that if they had split it into two episodes, it would have lacked the punch
I mean, I feel like they could have just made it I think they could have just made an entire episode on its own with like certain interactions. Like they could have still done the LA episode, but I still think they could have done like replace Luna with Stolas, and you would have had more development between those two. I mean, obviously it would have been Lululand 2.0, but it's just like it would still been more because it would have felt more for Octavia's character.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can sympathize with Octavia because my parents divorced when I was younger and it was pretty shitty. So I would like to see more go on that pattern. I would want to see more Octavia's view on that.
My parents divorced when I was 2. Haha.
Oh.
My parents divorced when I was 5 months old. I win.
Oh, cool. So, you know, like, so basically we're both not really conscious enough to understand.
It's
Yeah.
not a competition.
But what else was there?
It wasn't really a competition neither, but I'm just saying
This is
like
the South turn here. Good lord.
God, okay, yeah, we're going very morbid here. I'm sorry. Which one of us has which one? Okay, I'm a 2-year-old divorced. No, I'm 5-month-old divorced. No.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm
we'll make
divorced.
Gets a divorce.
Like what?
Everyone gets a divorce. You get a divorce. I get a divorce.
And
He
you
gets
get
a divorce.
I just don't know whether like play Moxie's dad's gonna do outside him hiring Stryker. Like, I don't think we're going to see him as much anymore.
Oh, I think he's going to be a villain. I would not be shocked if there's going to be a villain team up episode.
Well, I think we're gonna see him, but like not as much people think we are. I feel like after like
I
whatever.
really don't think it's going to be the last time I see him.
I don't think it'll be the last time, but I just don't think we're going to see him for a hot minute.
See.
Maybe like maybe when Stryker comes back in the season, but who knows? But
Yeah.
what else is there that I liked in the episode? I didn't hate Chaz's character.
But he was annoying.
Oh, it was comical. Like, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but I did like him, I guess. Like, if I had to rate him between 1 out of 10, I'd probably give him like a 4.
All right. So you thought he was mediocre?
Yeah. I did think it was really funny that the way he described Moxie and Millie.
I heard that.
And Soul was just like, "Oh, come on, there's someone that's both of you, and I can't."
I still love that.
And I do find it really funny that he's absolutely like poor and he's terrible in the bed.
Oh yeah, no, it's just I think we're kind of going in circles here. I think we covered almost everything in Helluva Boss, or this episode. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I made my opinion on it.
yeah. So there is one more topic to go over, and I'm pretty sure some of you would feel too disconnected about it. So I don't know if you guys are going to stick around or not, but I do want to give some opinions on because it's already been like a month and a half already, but it's been on my to-do list for a while. I got to talk about the Super Bowl because there's something unusual that has been going on with the Super Bowl. Like, just
I am going to dip out for this conversation.
I knew it. Okay, then.
Yeah. Just not my thing.
I can
Have a good night,
provide
everybody.
something, not a lot, but something.
All right,
Oh
so
I'll
there.
say.
Okay, so I was kind of salty about like okay. I did anticipate to Voice of Reason stream when we were watching the Super Bowl together, and I just think that this one is a bit of a downer compared to last year's, but I'm trying to keep myself as level-headed as possible. There's been some like speculation that there's something rigged going on about how one team lost to another. I'm gonna need I need to refresh my mind of who the teams were. One of them was called the Cardinals, as I'm looking at the screen.
No, it was Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, so apparently I picked the wrong pick here. Google, you had one job.
I really don't think the Super Bowl is rigged. I think people that say that just say it because they don't want Patrick Mahomes to win every time. But the thing is, Patrick Mahomes realistically is this day and age is Tom Brady. He's the mother goat.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes is a very, very talented football player, and his team backs it up too. And I think that's what it just really boils down to.
Yeah. Also,
I'm a New Englander, so yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, I didn't catch that, Ryley.
I'm a New Englander, so I kind of had to know about like Tom Brady and stuff. Other than that, like, who was even playing this year? I don't even remember. Like, the Super Bowl was like back in the beginning of February now. That feels so long ago.
The Chiefs versus the Eagles.
Yeah.
Chiefs versus Eagles. That's who it was. It was the Phillies that won, right?
I think so.
No, the Chiefs won.
The Chiefs.
Chiefs won? Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's again. I completely forgot about that. I remember eating wings.
I think I made a mistake in making this a topic.
That's so funny.
Like, there are things I was like not too big of. Like, aside from the team, the Super Bowl performance was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, I feel like every year they have like a halftime show or something. It's always disappointing who they choose to perform. It's like,
I don't know.
Last year's was fire.
Yeah, the last one. The one last year was pretty fire.
Last year,
Eminem,
Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, a bunch of them. But like that's the thing I remember most about this year's Super Bowl is like the controversy over Rihanna and how her kind of show.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. I was never a huge fan of Rihanna to begin with.
I like Rihanna. I respect her.
I mean,
there's a few songs from her that I like.
I have a problem with like when they ask female artists to perform at Super Bowl and they decide that they're gonna dress all like sexualized and everything. It's like, dude.
I'm not a big fan of that either.
Like, there are families here with kids. Why?
For me,
I don't think that matters.
It
kind of ruins it when an entire family's there and not everyone wants to see that.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was just like the choreography and stuff like that. Like, I know she's pregnant, but at the same time, why are you performing if you're pregnant? I'm not saying like she can't be a working artist, but like this is supposed to be a big spectacle. And yeah, some of the songs she chose were good, but like half of them were collab songs she did with other artists.
Yeah. So like I don't know. Every year that they announce like the halftime shows, I'm like, oh, who are they going to pick this year? I'm never really happy with who they pick. Like, I remember in the past, me and my mom were just like, they need to bring Weird Al Yankovic to the Super Bowl and have him perform.
You know, funny thing, Voice and I were kind of having a discussion of what would be cool for a halftime show. And Voice literally said out loud, and I know that it's not possible to happen because of their image, he would have loved to have seen Ghost make a halftime performance. I can imagine them performing Rats on there while they have like satanic image on the stadium.
Like, I could have thought of whole much better people to perform this last year instead of Rihanna.
I try to go ahead.
Like I said, I wouldn't mind for Weird Al to perform one year because he was supposed to, I think, one year. But then they decided, no, he's not family friendly enough. We're not going to pick him. It's like, excuse me?
Wait. Weird Al Yankovic not being friendly enough? Family friendly?
How?
Okay, compare that to Rihanna. No, Eminem, of all people. Do you think he's family friendly? And yet they got him up in the performance last year.
Their reasoning was because of the songs that he had, like the parodies he wrote, and like some of their lyrical choices.
Again, Eminem performed
had swear words.
Well, I mean,
Lord.
You know how Weird Al is. Like, sometimes his songs can kind of be a little bit out there.
Okay, he also supported children's media. He was actually the
He was in the Pokemon, the movie 2000s track.
So, like,
soundtrack
I didn't like their reasoning for why they didn't want him to perform. But like, they could have chosen anyone else besides Rihanna, because one, she is pregnant. She shouldn't have been doing anything to begin with like that, with all the choreography, because that could hurt her baby. Mm-hmm. Two, just the fact that there are a lot more better people they could have chosen. Like, they could have chosen other artists, like maybe Ariana Grande, even though I don't like her. They could have chosen her. But like, they could have chosen someone more relevant for people to actually like hear, because last time I heard Rihanna's singing was Umbrella. That was the last time I heard her sing.
See, I won't say real. I won't.
She's been
I
in a
will
lot
disagree
of other
on.
shit since then.
I mean, I guess that's when I heard of her, so like, it's not really relevant to a lot of people anymore.
I will heavily disagree.
Yeah,
that Rihanna is not relevant. I think she's very relevant in our generation.
She cemented herself in the musical scene. Like, she would put out album like year after year, album after album for almost a decade straight, and it was to a point that a lot of people like were just saying, "Take a break, please." Like you could legitimately say she was overworking herself from all like the tours, the albums, and it's just like, you don't need to do this performance. Like, I already respect you. I may not like all your music and stuff, but I just didn't think she needed the money or the recognition for this performance.
Yeah. Like,
you know?
Like, I guess that's why me and my family just never watch Super Bowl, because it always disappoints us to, like, one way or the other. If it's not from the actual game, it's the halftime show, and I'm just like, we can't win.
Mm.
I think the one time we ever watched the Super Bowl was when the Seahawks played, and that was it.
I'm from the Northeast, so I haven't had the problem of not having my team in the Super Bowl for the past 20 years or so.
It looks like
I had Tom Brady.
So it looks like Galaxy is a little triggered or set off from what we said about the halftime show. I'm guessing she probably really, really liked it, and that's fine.
Yeah, she did.
I thoroughly enjoyed the halftime show from last year with Eminem and several other artists on that one.
Yeah, that was really good. I love that.
You know what I think happened? I think that with that big performance, they probably spent a little too much money and they had to save up to try to work with one artist. That's my only guess. Because when it comes to the Super Bowl, they're working on an extremely high budget. So
yeah. Well, I mean, even with that, like, the Grammys had a better performance this year with their dedication to the hip hop and rap for like wasn't like 40 or 50 years, and they started from like up in the early 70s and into like Run DMC and all that up into modern era, and it's just like, that was a better like performance than like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like, what's the purpose of even like I know the purpose of the Super Bowl, but like, what's the purpose of having the halftime show if it's going to take away from the game? Like,
it's a big celebration, so they want to make it a bang.
That's mostly why people watch the Super Bowl, I think, is just for the halftime show. Like,
I think they watch it
and the ads. And the ads.
Yeah, or in the ads. Well, I don't think the ads were ever that.
Yeah, no, the ads did not leave much of an impression of any sort. Like, some of them were really weird. Like, one of them was like a celebration of tax season, like one of which has a shot of a kid coming out like it's Christmas. Like, dude, like, Christmas ended like 2 months prior. What are you trying to get at with this?
At least it wasn't just crypto.com commercial after crypto.com commercial.
I will give you that. I will, because the year before, good lord, they made so many, like, I think one of them had not Brad Pitt, but Matt Damon. Yeah. I think it was Matt Damon who like did a narration of some sort about space and life and such, and then crypto.com. Like, no!
Even Larry David was in there. Curb Your Enthusiasm music starts playing.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay, so I will say that. It's just, I didn't have that big of an impression. Like, I still remember back in 2008 which is a very long time ago. You know, watching the Patriots and the New York Giants like face against each other. I still remember that the Wally ad and the one of the car ads that was close to like one of them was driving around to avoid a deer. It was a car commercial, and it's in the middle of the night. So, and it's out in the wilderness. He's the driver is just driving around around a deer. Then there's Alice Cooper holding a snake, driving around it. And then there's what's his name, Simmons, and he's doing his jumping jacks. And Dad and I were like, hit him, hitting the gas, and then just driving around. The parade balloons with I don't know who the two were, but they were fighting to get the there was a bottle of Coke, and at the end, Charlie Brown was able to get it. It was like in New York City. It was a hilarious ad.
The best Super Bowl ads are the Budweiser puppy and his
Bud White.
Yeah.
I love the animal ones. The animal ones are so cute to watch.
Yeah, no, because... Yeah, so there's so much potential creativity involved, and I didn't feel like there was much of an impression left of this year for the Super Bowl ads.
Like, I think even last year they had a... or it was either last year or the year before. I think it was the year before last year that they had a Super Bowl ad for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where Jeff Goldblum was like riding in a car trying to escape the dinosaur and all that. But that was even a good ad. I like that ad. It was funny.
Yeah.
Then it turns out he wasn't even being chased. He was just sitting in a car the entire time in the dealership, and they're like trying to get him to buy it and just leave.
I mean, once I started watching the Super Bowl more for like the ads and trailers and stuff, I would watch it with like my mom, and her being like a big Patriots fan, she would like scream her ass off at Gronk or at Tom Brady. She would be like, "Oh, come on!" She would turn into a completely different person whenever football was going on screen.
Yeah, no, my mother was like that too whenever it came to football. Because my brother and I have memories. Like, we're in our rooms, minding our own business, and I hear from downstairs going, "Go, go, go! Touchdown!" But I'm as I'm reading the chat, I know that not many people are big on football, and that's completely fine. I just have a nostalgic. I have a nostalgic soft spot for it. So
same. It's like it's not something I'm like putting much energy into, but Yeah.
It's like, if it's there, sure, I'll anticipate. Because the thing that I like, at the very least, when it comes to, even nowadays, when when somebody is actually, like, sharing with us, you know, watching the Super Bowl of some sort, we're just together as friends, just enjoying the time of our lives. And I think that's...
Yeah, I love foosball.
Well, it's not even about watching the sport, it's just
foosball.
enjoying each other's company. That's what it all comes down to.
Exactly. You can, as long as you can, if you're with the right group of people, anything can be entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not being in a room with family members who just scream at a TV like our family did in the past.
Hey,
no, there's
two reasons why I'm not sober when I'm with friends. There's two different reasons why I'm not sober when I'm between friends and family. Friends, so I can have more fun. Family, so I can start having fun.
Yeah, every time we watched the Super Bowl when I was younger at my house, like, my uncle and my grandpa would always just hog the TV, wouldn't let us watch anything. They would tell us to be quiet during the game, and I was like, okay. But if you go to my dad's house, oh my gosh, if you have two different teams that are playing, be ready for war to happen at my dad's house.
Oh, God.
Half my family is from New York, and half my family is from New England.
Like,
either side I choose, I'm screwed.
The fact that the last time I was at my dad's house watching the Super Bowl, there were like 3 different teams in that entire house, and I'm just like, oh God, I'm the odd one out because no one likes my team. So
you will never see a more bitter rivalry than like New York versus New England, and when it comes to sports, with like the Yankees versus Red Sox and the Giants versus the Patriots and stuff.
It honestly kind of just heartens me because they're forgetting that we're watching this for fun. We're watching this to see, like, okay, which team does whichever one, and it keeps us on the edge of our seat. If whoever wins and whoever loses, it's It's spilled milk at the end of the day if the game is a loss. It's minuscule. There's so many bigger things out there to worry about.
Oh god, no! You think that's bad? Look at football games in other countries. I mean soccer here, but like
it's ridiculous, and I think people need to really take a step back and calm down. It's just
people playing sports and games for fun,
throwing balls to one another. Good God, it's just there for personal entertainment. And just like, I just watch the Super Bowl to have fun with friends.
Yeah.
Like
that's why now whenever the Super Bowl is around, I'm like, okay, I'm turning on Animal Planet and watching Puppy Bowl instead because it's more cute and it has a good cause to it where they have the dogs up for adoption at the same time.
So personally, this is why I wanted to talk about the Super Bowl. Like, obviously, we weren't like. Okay, I knew at some point we had to talk about the game and the ads and everything, but like ever since that this year's Super Bowl just came and gone, there were some videos stating conspiracies, even from Critical, who stated that there's something corruptive going on with the Super Bowl, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, and the NFL being corrupt, you don't say.
It's like, does it really have to matter?
Who would have guessed the NFL was corrupt in any way whatsoever?
So my point is, calm the down. Surely we'll get a better game next year. Like, good Lord. Like at the same time, I was underwhelmed with it, but I know better than to just go say, like, oh, they're setting something up behind the scenes or something like that. And it's just, no, just...
It's like, why are people getting upset over a game? It's sort of like...
You people need to get your priorities straight. Good Lord.
Yeah, it's like, it's not the end of the world. Like, sure, like the fact that your team didn't win, it's not a big deal. They have another chance next year.
Yeah, and just that's really what I wanted to get off my chest. And in general, I like to give the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the Super Bowl, and it's always an event that I just have a soft spot for because. Like what Ryley and I mentioned earlier, we have a nostalgic soft spot for when it comes to NFL. I know that it's not for everybody. Some people are into NASCAR. I'm not too big on NASCAR. Some people are into, what is it called? The NBAs and so forth. There's a spot for, there's a soft spot for everybody on something, So... We kind of so this is just kind of how I'm going to end it here because I know that some people are just like, I don't care too much about football. All right, that's fine.
I don't care much either, but I'll watch the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, I'll watch it and I'll just see like, okay, is he going to make the...
I'm not a sports person, so I'm just like, I'll watch it just for the heck of it if it's on.
Yeah, like I know how the game works and everything and sometimes be like, oh, maybe if they do this or maybe if they do that. But, if they don't make it to they always get another chance to make it there. Yeah, it's just... Have fun with it. Good Lord. I'm ready to go to the next topic because we're repeating ourselves.
Yeah.
We have the Q&A to go over.
Oh, yeah, Q&A. Okay.
Yeah, so as we got, this podcast, we mostly just talked about ceremonial events. We talked about Helluva Boss and what our favorite movies are. I think things are a bit of a coin toss to an extent. Like, I think things kind of flipped to the other side because last year, the Oscars was but... the Super Bowl was pretty good. Like, at least at the very least, the halftime show on that one. But this year, it's kind of like the opposite. The halftime show and the Super Bowl was mediocre, but the Oscars was better. We want better things. We always have hope for better things. So, I know that some would argue that it's me asking for too much, and I'll admit to that. I'm just trying to be optimistic.
Yeah.
Oh, but before we go to Q&A, Golden, I think we will have plenty of topics to talk about in the next few months as far as films go, including one that's supposed to be coming out in I believe less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. There's also what is it called?
Spider-Verse.
Well, no. I'm not just talking about movies. There was an animated project that was supposed to come out sometime this month. Lackadaisy, yeah.
Lackadaisy, yeah, I heard about that.
Like, I'm still waiting. That trailer's
there's another one on Netflix that's been in the works too that's coming out next month, I believe. Nimona, I think it's called.
Something like that, yeah. You see,
Yeah.
like I want to make this podcast to make it more entertaining for like other people to share their input on what they want to talk about, because it's just.
I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't mind talking about like the eShops closing for the older consoles.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
you know, I think we can talk. I
affect.
think we could talk about that briefly until we get some further questions. It is a shame that happens, but I think it's just more on the fact that the shop is more on the obsolete end, and people are, you know, they have a chance to make all these purchases. But I know that people have Nintendo accounts on the Switch, and they can get games from there, unless that's also the eShop or something. And if that's the case,
it's just bad for like historical preservation, for like gaming preservation.
And the fact that on the eShops you could get like the virtual consoles of the Pokemon games, and now that those are gone forever now. But also just the fact of like now that the eShops are closing, 3DS games are going to skyrocket in price, like for physical copies. And it's going to make it so difficult to get them.
I mean, yeah, but this is also why I'm on par with giving respect to Gerard the Completionist for purchasing every single game on the Wii U and 3DS.
And then donating them to be preserved.
Yeah, big mad respect to you, Gerard. Good lord.
Like, he may not have been able to do all the digital purchases, sadly. Why would I say purposes?
Physical?
But all the physical copies, like he like donated to like the gaming preservation. I forget the name.
Okay, so we have a question from Galaxy. What do you think of Moon Girl cartoon from Disney? I haven't watched it yet, but I do like the opening track.
Oh, it's good. I've seen it. The first it's up to like 12 episodes now. They've been coming out like 6 at a time. The animation is great. The soundtrack is great. I think it's from the same studio that does like Monkey Kid, Rise of the TMNT.
Okay.
And it had like some really good pedigree as far as animation team behind it too. And I'm trying to remember the name.
Oh, we got another question. Oh, it's also from Galaxy. What are your thoughts on the Kraken movie coming out this soon and Tiara spinoff and the Princess and the Frog? I am looking forward to the Tiara spinoff and the Kraken movie.
Tiana.
I'm sorry?
Tiana.
Sorry, I meant Tiana. It was a slip of the tongue.
But like that Kraken movie looks interesting.
It does. It's a simple jab at Disney. There's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, was Katzenberg brought back in? Oh, I guess he's still involved in the company somehow.
I mean, to be honest, the fact that mermaids are being depicted as evil is not far off from the.
Oh no, that is not far off.
The fact that they use their voice to lure sailors to their deaths, it's like, okay, that's
were
more
mermaids
accurate,
originally evil before the Little Mermaid was written?
Well, there's like sirens and stuff.
Yeah, they're like sirens in that they use their voice to lure sailors to their deaths in the ocean.
Okay.
So like the fact that they're making a movie based on this now, it's like, okay, they're really trying to make it interesting now.
So we got another question. Is there an older game you would like remade someday? Yes, and I'm pretty sure, like, I think we talked about this numerous times before.
I know I am probably going to regret this in so many ways.
Go ahead.
I kind of want to see Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 remade.
You know what? If they, like, okay, so if you...
like quality of life improvements and stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
like help direct the player on where to go and such.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kingdom Hearts 1's combat has aged, definitely, but it was the first game in the series, so it was still, like, pioneering the combat that would to come. But I would like... I don't know. Maybe part of me is like, maybe I shouldn't have those touched, but another part of me is just like, well, maybe if they could do it a certain way. I don't know. I don't know.
That's just like that's understandable. I personally, I think I mentioned this before. I would personally like to see Sonic Adventure 2 or the Sonic Adventure movie games redone and make it much more player friendly, because you already know how I felt about that final story. It's unplayable.
Oh, I might add though, but make sure that the original versions are still playable.
You know what?
Don't do that fucking Grand Theft Auto.
I can be on par with it. Yeah.
Where they replace the original versions and you can't get the original versions anymore.
So we have another question from Amethyst Majesty. Are you all looking forward to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always? I'm sure Jasper would be.
I'm looking forward to it.
I actually am, because I've always been a huge fan of Power Rangers, and granted, the recent ones have not been the greatest, but if they're gonna make a tribute to the older ones, then I'm definitely gonna look forward to it and actually want to watch it.
I mean, they have most of the original cast back on it.
Yeah,
There hasn't been much talk about like Jason David Frank though.
Yeah,
but I mean, like
the last movie that they made was not the greatest, and everyone hated it.
Apparently, the voice of Rita Pulsa is back.
Yeah, the voice of Rita is back, and I love it.
So I'm gonna give some context. Right quick.
Okay.
People are giving Amy for not reprising her role, which, if people don't know, Amy is Kimberly, original Pink Ranger.
Amy Jo Johnson, yeah.
And it's just like, she even went on Twitter. She was like, people are asking me why I'm not reprising my role for money or anything. She's like, realistically, I don't want to be a 50-year-old woman wearing spandex. Like,
which is understandable. Like, I don't think...
And like, people are saying like, why is JDF not in it? I'm like, well, probably the same reason. I really don't know, because this was made before he died.
It wasn't about wearing spandex. He was in another project wearing spandex too. I don't know. It's I did see the Green Ranger in the trailer for Once Upon a Ranger, so maybe he might be in it as a small cameo. Maybe
I think what I heard is that it's his last role that he was in for the movie.
So,
okay.
Amy's exact words: "Please stop saying I didn't do the reunion because of money. Simply not true. Maybe I just didn't want to wear spandex in my 50s, or couldn't go to New Zealand for a month, or none of your business. JDF and I both chose not to for our own reasons. They filmed before he passed."
All right then. Let's see.
That's sad though that she feels that way about it.
There's a whole different can of worms when it comes to the reprisal of roles from Power Rangers, especially with the actor who played as the Red Ranger, and we lost the Green Ranger last year. Jason David Frank. Yeah, and like,
goat.
Yeah, he was. He was.
It was nice to see that they brought back the original Blue Ranger, though, especially what apparently he went through behind the scenes of the.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
I mean, if like Amy and JDF came back, it's I wonder why he came back, because he was, if anybody, got the worst treatment on set from people, because he was like secretly gay, and like people and like this was the early '90s, and they're still coming off the age and all that propaganda, and it was like he didn't deal with it too well. He wasn't going. It wasn't going well for him during.
I also will point out that even if Amy Jo didn't reprise her role, it makes more sense for Kat, the next Pink Ranger in line, Kat, to reprise the role, because Kimberly transferred all the power to Kat, so it makes more sense. And
she was more relevant by the time
I feel like
came out.
I think Kat's more. I think, in my opinion, Kat's more relevant than Kimberly. Kat's been literally 4 different variations of the Pink Ranger.
I gotta say though, the guy who plays the original Black Ranger has probably aged the best out of all of them, honestly.
Oh yeah,
he looks really good for his age. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being. Maybe I shouldn't focus on that.
We should move on to the next question. That's actually very, very interesting, and that is, what are your thoughts on the new TMNT movie and the casting?
Haven't seen it yet.
Okay,
I'm interested. I'm
interested too. I'm interested in checking this one out. I've heard some controversy because Seth Rogen was involved, and
Why? He's a big fanboy of all these things. I mean, he's involved in Invincible, and Invincible is pretty good. I mean,
it's just like, as long as you do a good job with the source material, I'm not gonna too much about it.
And I like how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sound like actual teenagers.
Yeah,
not like what that weird live action movie they tried to do was.
Are you talking about the Michael Bay one or the old Jim Henson movie from the 90s?
Michael Bay one.
Yeah, the Michael Bay one was hot garbage from what I heard.
Yeah,
let's be fair, they've rarely actually sounded like teenagers, but it's just like people were saying all over Twitter, why do they sound like 10-year-olds and stuff? I'm just like, because they're actually played by teenagers?
I mean, yes, Thunder Kid. Yeah, and yes, that's supposed to be spelled Thunder Kid with that. I don't know what kind of typing that's supposed to be, but yeah, I know that Seth Rogen does the voice of Donkey Kong. I've seen like 1 or 2 lines off of him, and I can easily recognize his voice. He's just being himself, and I now just imagine Donkey Kong going. What other question? Oh yeah, Galaxy was asking what our thoughts are for Cocaine Bear. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to.
It's good. I loved it. I think it's available online now.
Oh really?
Somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, we'll definitely give that a shot. And any other questions we glossed over? Let's see. Thoughts on Sonic Origins Plus? I have not played Sonic Origins, so I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
Apparently, a lot of people are saying it's what Sonic Origins should have been upon release instead of what it was.
Okay. Raiza, you were asked where you got that gif of Luigi twerking.
I am a subscriber to a Twitch streamer that is one of my friends. That's literally all it is. I'm not gonna plug his Twitch into another Twitch. I think that's weird.
All right, so was the bear high on something? Yeah, he was high on cocaine. I think there was like a packet of drugs, and one of them fell in the forest. And
okay. So in 1984, over $4 million worth of cocaine fell out of a plane and was devoured by a bear. Now in the movie, he goes on a murderous rampage, and in reality, his heart exploded.
Ouch.
Is this pretty much like a horror movie, or?
It's a horror comedy.
Yeah, it's more like horror action comedy. It's just it's kind of like with Beetlejuice, where it has no identity of the genre. It's just a big WTF movie, from what I heard.
It's just so ridiculous as a whole that you can't really take it too seriously. They can get invested a bit in the horror, but only to see just where the fuck this is gonna go, you know?
Okay. I was very confused at first. I was like, what in the world? This is a weird movie you guys are talking about.
Like, it's based off an actual event, but not what actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, they actually stuffed the actual bear and put him in some mall in Kansas, apparently.
Oh,
or no, was it Kentucky? No, Kentucky.
Oh my god,
Kansas.
dude. Okay, so I'm looking up for whatever streaming services there are. So there's one you can watch on YouTube for $20. Same thing for Vudu and Redbox and Google Play Movies and TV. What other options are there? Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and once again, YouTube. All right, so maybe we'll give that. Maybe if we're able to do that, because unless it becomes later available on like streaming services that we're subscribed to that doesn't have much of a charge, I still want to check that movie out. That movie looks stupidly interesting.
It is. It's exactly what you think it is from the trailer.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm guessing there aren't that any questions left over, so I guess it's time to wrap things up because we had a lot to catch up on, and we've covered a lot of ground. We definitely, I hope to be more active in making the podcast work because I want to anticipate talking about a lot of things in regards to media because I can't cover everything with individual videos, and podcasts are just meant to be fun, you know? So at this point, we have our final says on everything. Some people have come and gone, like Dusk has come and gone. Raiza, since you joined in about midway in, I'm going to let you have your final say first.
Let's see. What do I want to say? Oh, yeah. Play Xenoblade.
You have a problem. You have a problem, sir. You
This
have
is
a
the one
problem.
who plays Kingdom Hearts, boy!
I know I have a problem, but I embrace it.
Okay, Shouka.
As soon as I'm already planning on when I get my own 3D printer of making my own Keyblades.
All right, Shouka, do you have... I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and any final words?
For my first podcast with you guys, this has been interesting.
Okay.
I try to make it.
And Ryley?
If any of y'all gonna be at Babs from the 6th to the 10th, I'll be there, and let me know so I can know to run away so I don't have to face anyone and I can just like be on my way. Thank you. Okay. Not really. I'll just, yeah.
I mean, I'll be at BabsCon too, so.
Yeah,
I'm having
you
a
guys will
table,
have
so.
fun. All right, so that pretty much wraps up this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed that after a long period of time. And once again, I am very sorry for how long of a pause it is. Trying to schedule for anything is a bitch when it comes to trying to, work with everything, because our work schedules get in the way, and we're challenged with a lot of other shit. But I will see what I can do for the near future in the hopes that we talk more about, any kind of general media. Until then, I hope you guys have a very good night. For those who are watching on the stream, I hope you have a good night. And for those who are listening when this is archived on my YouTube channel, I hope you enjoyed listening to all of this, unless you decided to just skim through to the end, which that's kind of scummy behavior. But okay, have a good night, everybody.
Tell us about it in the comments.
You son of a.